Hey, welcome to Ben African Ciclet. So today I thought we could talk about if you have a cloudy tank. More specifically, if the water is grayish or whitish color, um, and then that's gonna affect it differently depending if it's a newer tank that you're setting up or a cycle tank. It's been up and running for more than like 3 or 4 months, right? We're going to talk about the 8 different reasons that it could be and how to fix it. So our first reason why our tank might be cloudy or appear cloudy, it might be silly to some, but um, as a mechanic, I know that sometimes you have to take a step back and always go to basic before you start diagnosing and looking further into bigger issues. So the basic thing is your glass clean? Like, if your glass is not clean, it might appear cloudy, but it's actually not the water. There's no problem with the water. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually clean the outside of your glass. And this here, I recommend if you're using Windex or any cleaning product like this, don't spray your tank directly. You might throw some of those cleaners into your water column. So the trick that I have for this is actually you're going to spray your rag or whatever tissue you're using, or so you're going to spray it directly on here, and now you cannot affect the water quality in your tank or nothing like this. So now you can clean your tank here and nothing's gonna happen by accident to your fish. Alright? So the second thing, so that would be like, dirty on the outside, but it could be dirty on the inside too. Because sometimes, especially, I don't know if you ever saw driftwood, but when you start putting driftwood in your tank, sometimes it becomes a little bit white or anything or something like this, and this is actually biofilm. Well, biofilm don't just grow on wood; it could grow too on decoration, but it can also grow on your glass. So if it grows onto the inside of your tank and your glass, then everything's gonna appear cloudy. So for this, I have a video about that. You can see it in the description or click on the link above here. But the mag float is really good to clean that. So this, you just move it side to side in your tank, and then there's a magnet that holds something on the they hold the brush on the inside of your tank, and then it helps you clean it. There's attachment for this too, for stubborn algae or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, look up the video if you want to know more about this. So now that your tank is clean, we're gonna move to the second thing that could have happened. So now, a second, number two, is going to be: do you have newly set up aquarium? Did you just set it up or have it set up for a few months? So this usually happen with newer tank or tank that are not cycled yet or are cycling, and that would be bacteria bloom. So what's happening? It's you just started to cycle your tank. You either use product to cycle it or put ammonia in there to start cycling it. Whatever choice you choose to cycle your tank, that could happen anyway. And or if you already have a cycle tank and you just put some fish in there and you just introduce fish for the first time, so that might give a shock of ammonia to your tank. And as soon as you have a shock of ammonia or nitrate to your tank, then it's gonna create bacteria bloom. So the bacteria bloom is normal. There's no issue with it. You shouldn't want to remove the water, do a big water change right away to fix that, because the thing that's happening is all those bacteria are trying to, they're colonizing your tank right now. They're going crazy because there's huge amount of food for them. So they're trying to eat it all. And but you need those bacteria, because obviously if they're colonizing that much and there's that much ammonia or nitrates in your tank, then there's enough food for them, and your stock, your fish supply, or the food that you're putting in there is enough to create and feed all of those bacteria. So don't do crazy water change there. You have to let it, it's normal, let it cycle itself. So the trick for how to deal with this is first barely feed your fish, like just a little tiny little pinch there that they can eat, like, you know, in a less than like 30 seconds or a minute. And when you're going through this, don't give them too much food. If there's less food that's gonna fall at the bottom of your tank and rot and cause more bacteria in there. There's also, if the fish don't eat that much, then they're not to excrete too much pee and poop and all that, and, you know, create more ammonia or nitrates in your tank. So let it control itself. And when this is happening, to protect your fish so you don't lose any fish during this time, our product from, I'm not sponsored by those guys, product by Seasham called Safe and Prime, or Prime and Safe, they're exactly the same thing. It's Safe is the powder form here. That stink like crazy. It stink like rotten eggs. And then the Prime is actually the same thing as the powder form, but it's the liquid form. And it's because it's water form, then liquid form, then it's kind of like Safe that's diluted, right? So if you put that, this project here helps to detoxify the ammonia and nitrate and nitrites. So detoxify it so that it won't kill your fish, and that does that for like 24 to 48 hours. So just keep adding the little amount that it should for that size of tank that you have, and then it's gonna protect your fish until all the bacteria are settled in your tank. And then the other thing too, it's if you're doing a newly cycled tank, or it's just the first time you're putting fish after you thought it was all cycle, it might be cycle, it just doesn't have enough bacteria to deal with the population of fish or food you're putting in there. So what you want to do too, it's also go get yourself a test kit. It's very important. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna tell you exactly what's happening with your cycle, how much ammonia. When the ammonia disappear and it's just nitrite, then you know that like the bacteria that eat ammonia are good in there. And now, like, as soon as you start having nitrate, and then the nitrite are dropping, so now you know that, like, you know, your beneficial bacteria are starting to be more stable and your tank is almost done cycling, or the bacteria bloom is going to be almost done because, you know, they're eating most of what's in your tank right now. So that's going to tell you exactly what's happening, and you can know a little bit like how long you're going to have to deal with all of this. So that's the number 2 cause there. And, you know, just be patient. This will fix itself. After your tank's going to be cycled and your bacteria level are going to adjust themselves, you know, your issues are going to be like super small from there. So, you know, hold on, keep going with the hobby, don't quit. You're almost there. Number 3 is, we already touched that, and number 2, but it's overfeeding. So, you know, that doesn't have to do with nothing with newer tank or anything like this. You're just overfeeding. You're causing, like, you know, your fish to poop or pee more, or you're like having some food going at the bottom of your tank that's rotting, and everything, all of that stuff is gonna cause ammonia and nitrates. So, you know, you might have a bacteria bloom again, and that will be from overfeeding. Another thing too, number 4 would be you have a dead fish in there. So you might not be able to see it. It might be like, you know, hiding behind some decoration or something like that. So you want to empty your tank, like lift the decoration, not empty your tank, but lift the decoration, look around in there, make sure that there's nothing dead in there. You'll smell it too if there's a dead fish in there. So if you open the lid and then you have a sniff in there and your water don't smell right, then maybe that's what you're having. And fish that decompose ate in your tank, also going to cause a spike in water level, ammonia or nitrite. So, you know, that could cause an algae bloom, not the algae bloom, but it will cause a bacteria bloom again. So yeah, there's lots of stuff that can cause a bacteria bloom. Now you just need to know which stage you're at and try to find out the cause of it, because you know, just changing the water is not going to fix anything. If you have a dead fish in there, even if you do a 80% water change or you know almost 100% water change, as soon as you fill it back up, it's gonna take another couple days, and you're gonna be right back where you were because you didn't fix the problem. You just you know changed that whitish water, grayish water. So yeah, look for the problem, fix it, and then the rest of it is gonna fix itself. So that was number 4. Also number 5, it could be like over cleaning. So you've been in there, like your tank's all cycle, everything is good, and then you go ahead and you know, oh, you don't like that little algae on your decoration, or you think your filter is dirty and stuff, and you're one of those people that want everything perfect, crystal clear. Well, we're dealing with nature here, and nature have his way to, you know, grow some natural algae to help deal with levels, and you know, plants want to thrive, and life wants to thrive all the time. So a tank usually is not going to be perfect, crystal clear, no dirt anywhere or nothing like that. So, you know, maybe like you're going crazy and you're cleaning stuff a little bit too much. You just clean your filter, you clean your decoration, you do that all at once. What you just did is remove all of the beneficial, not all, but most of the beneficial bacteria and everything, and your tank needs to start cycling again. So this is sad part of it, but lots of people that get into the hobby, they bud the decoration, they bud the tank, they want it to look the same as when they first put the water in it, and they're just over cleaning everything. So that might be the cause of an issue too. So again, the test kit here is going to be perfect to let you know what's happening at your tank. Are you starting the cycle again? You're starting the cycle, it's just patience again. If you're cycling your tank and you have a few tanks, or you know somebody that have a tank, get some video about this, instantly cycling tanks and how it works exactly. But in big is you grab media from another tank or decoration, or you know something from the filter from another tank, and you put it in that tank that you're cycling, and it's gonna help speed up everything. Sometimes it instantly cycle your tank and you're ready for fish too. Alright, number 6. So what might have happened is you just wiped out all your beneficial bacteria with chlorine or chloramine. So, you know, you then put your water conditioner in your tank, or you just went to clean stuff in the sink and you left it too long with the sink water. So, you know, chlorine is going to kill all the beneficial bacteria and chloramine. So you're going to start your cycle again. So if you brought all your decoration in there, and that's what happened, and patience again, you're just starting over. Or the other thing that might have happened too is you did a water change, you empty your tank, or did your 50% water change, however, how many percent you're doing, you refilled it, you forget to put the water conditioner in there, and yeah, that's gonna kill the beneficial bacteria in here. They're also going to, you know, get rid of a few fish there until you catch it. But yeah, so you know, don't forget your water conditioner, and if you did, then you're going to the cycle again. Another thing that might have happened is you're actually having issues with some disease in your tank, and then you end up putting some meds in your tank and you didn't read the bottle. Lots of medication will actually kill beneficial bacteria. So anything that is actually like, treating for bacteria, disease, uh, that bottle there that's treating for bacteria doesn't care if it's beneficial bacteria or bad bacteria that are killing your fish right now. It's just wiping all of the bacteria in your tank. So in order to do that, like usually you want to use a hospital tank if you're going to do this, or when you're treating for a bacterial infection, then shut off your filter. Or if you're not going to shut off your filter, then remove your media and grab a little bit of water from your tank, put your media into a bucket, and then just put a air bubble in there, air bubbler, and then you can make your media and your beneficial bacteria survive for like 24 to 48 hours by just having them in a bucket there. Now if you're not feeding them any ammonia or nitrate, then 24 to 48 hours, well, after 24 hours they'll start dying off. So you don't want to leave them like this for too long. So because of that, a hospital tank is the best. Now after you're done treating for your bacteria or anything you're going to treat with a medication that will kill your beneficial bacteria, what you want to do before you put your media back in, if you treat it in the main tank, is actually put some carbon into your filter. And the carbon is going to absorb most of the medicine that's floating around in your water. And then you're also going to want to do a big water change to remove lots of the water in there and lots of medicine in the same time. So after you're doing that, then you should be good to go to put your media back into your filter and then restart everything. Another thing that might have happened is, your tank is cycle, everything is good. Even it might be a newer tank, it might be a older tank, but you just put way too many fish all at once into your tank. So if you put a bunch of fish in there, then your bacteria might be able to handle the fish that you had in there. Let's say you had 10 fish in your tank, you just add 10 or 20 more all at once, and your bacteria can handle the 10 fish, but now they have to colonize to be able to, they have to recolonize to be able to handle 20 or 30 fish that you have in total in there. So it might be like another, a bacteria bloom that you're dealing with again. And the last thing that might have happened too is actually you have some fish that like to move the substrate. If you have sand or doesn't matter which substrate you have, but they're moving the substrate around. They're like, throwing all that dirt that might be at the bottom, or if you didn't flush the sand properly, if you're using sand and there's still dust in there, like, after you first set up your tank, yeah, everything might have settled at the bottom, but now you have your fish swimming around in there, moving the sand around, so all the dust are floating around in there. So that will take like, a little bit of time to come down. Or if you have a filter that's actually doing lots of flow in there, so it might move the substrate around. So you might need to reposition your jet so it's more at the top of your water anyway. And then, the output jet too, having that facing the top of the water is great because it gives you extra water, like surface water agitation, which end up turning to more oxygen for your fish. And the last thing that might have happened too is actually you have some fish that like to move the substrate. If you have sand or, doesn't matter which substrate you have, but they're moving the substrate around. They're like, throwing all that dirt that might be at the bottom, or if you didn't flush the sand properly, if you're using sand and there's still dust in there, like, after you first set up your tank, yeah, everything might have settled at the bottom, but now you have your fish swimming around in there, moving the sand around, so all the dust are floating around in there. So that will take like, a little bit of time to come down. Or if you have a filter that's actually doing lots of flow in there, so it might move the substrate around. So you might need to reposition your jet so it's more at the top of your water anyway. And then, you know, the output jet too, having that facing the top of the water is great because it gives you extra water, like surface water agitation, which end up turning to more oxygen for your fish. So that's actually a good thing to have, like nozzle pointing up sometime instead of pointing all the way down. Or if you're pointing it down, like just make sure it doesn't move the substrate too much. So hopefully this video helped you a little bit. Please like and subscribe if it did. Even if it didn't, it will help me. So anyway, yeah. And then I'll continue trying to make some nice informative video like this to help you solve any problem that or any issues that you might have with your aquarium. And then yeah, I'm planning to do this week there, I'm going to get some silicone and then I'll show you how to reseal a tank. So it might be a video that interests you. So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss that.